Have you ever wondered why the quietest person in the room often holds the most power? Why do some people speak less, yet their silence echoes louder than 1,000 voices? Could it be that in a world addicted to noise, the true strength lies in stillness? Well, buckle up, because today we're diving deep into this quiet power. You've seen them before. Those silent figures who don't need to dominate conversations to leave an impact. They don't rush to speak. But when they do, every word lands with weight. It's as if they've unlocked a secret code to living, with depth and clarity. And here's the twist. It's not just about being the strong, silent type you see in the movies. No, there's something much deeper going on beneath that calm exterior. What we're really exploring is Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that's been quietly shaping the minds of leaders, thinkers, and seekers for centuries. Now hold on. I know what you're thinking. Oh, great. Another lecture on dusty old philosophy. But stop right there. This isn't about memorizing quotes from men in robes with long beards. This is about real-life power. It's about how learning to speak less can radically enhance the quality of your life. So if you're curious about how saying less can actually say more, or how silence can become your sharpest tool, you're in the right place. Because in the noise of today's world, we're going to learn how a quiet mind can cut through the chaos like a blade through fog. By the end of this video, you won't just understand Stoic silence. You'll embody it. You'll learn how to transform silence into your personal superpower. And I promise, each piece of insight builds upon the last, guiding you to unlock a new level of clarity and strength. Picture this. You're in a heated moment, but instead of reacting, you go still. That stillness? It confuses the chaos. Like a tree standing tall in the storm, you remain rooted, unshaken, while the world reveals its hand. This is the art of strategic silence. You're not retreating. You're listening, observing, and staying 3 steps ahead. Lao Tzu once said, "Silence is a source of great strength." And the Stoics lived by that truth. Because in silence, you're not empty. You're full of potential. Your stillness becomes a mirror, reflecting others' insecurities, thoughts, and intentions, while you stay calm and collected. And in that quiet, you're not just watching, you're planning, you're learning, you're choosing your response, not reacting by default. This kind of presence isn't passive, it's powerful, it's stoic, it's intentional, and it reclaims your inner peace in a world that constantly tries to steal it. So if you're ready to learn how to wield silence like a sword and let calm become your greatest asset, keep watching, because on the next page, we'll take it even further. Let's now explore how removing noise from your life can elevate your clarity and sharpen your voice in a distracted world. We just uncovered how silence isn't emptiness, it's strategy. Now let's take a closer look at how the Stoics truly understood the power of restraint, especially in a world that rewards noise. They knew something most people overlook today. Words carry weight, and the silence that surrounds them, that's what gives them meaning. The Stoics didn't see silence as a void to be filled, they saw it as a sacred space, a canvas for reflection, a pause to anchor themselves in clarity and inner calm before they ever let a word leave their lips. In a time of endless chatter, this ancient wisdom invites us to step back, to quiet the noise, and to rediscover depth within ourselves and in the way we connect with others. But why does speaking less matter so much, especially in today's whirlwind of opinions, updates, and interruptions? Because quality always trumps quantity. Every single word we speak can either build or break, enlighten or confuse. And in a noisy world, restraint is power. When you pause before responding, when you choose reflection over reaction, you're not just being polite, you're being powerful. You give your words time to breathe, space to resonate. You give your message the clarity it deserves. And most of all, you give respect to the listener, to the conversation, and to yourself. This is the Stoic art of intentional speech. It's not about withholding. It's about elevating. Elevating the conversation. Elevating your presence. Elevating your message. Because sometimes the most profound moments are found not in the words spoken, but in the space between them. So how do we begin cultivating this rare and powerful trait? It starts with a single decision: to be deliberate, to choose stillness in small everyday moments, to pause before replying, to listen with your whole presence, to disconnect from the digital noise, if only for a while. In that stillness, your thoughts sharpen, your focus returns, your words take on new meaning. Silence, then, becomes a discipline, a path of transformation, a bold choice to prioritize. Meaning over noise, purpose over impulse. So I invite you to try it. Embrace it. Watch how your conversations shift. Notice how people respond to your calm. See how much more weight your voice carries when you speak less, but with intention. This journey isn't about speaking less for the sake of silence. It's about communicating with depth, living with awareness, choosing your moments and your words with care. Let us walk in the footsteps of the Stoics and find courage not in the loudest voice, but in the most grounded presence. And now, as we move forward, let's explore how silence, far from being passive, can actually become a magnet for attention, drawing others in and amplifying your impact in ways you never imagined. We just explored how silence can attract attention and draw others in. But now, let's take that one step further. What happens when we learn to balance silence and speech with precision? It's not about being quiet all the time. It's about knowing when to speak and when not to. That's where true impact is born. Striking that delicate balance between silence and speech transforms communication from something ordinary into something meaningful. Our words begin to carry more weight, not because we speak louder, but because we speak with value. This practice doesn't just improve how we talk, it elevates how we connect. It brings clarity to chaos, depth to dialogue, peace to fast-paced moments. In a world filled with constant noise, embracing silence becomes an art form, a conscious, powerful act. It's not about avoiding conversation, but enriching it. It's about using silence like a tool to listen more deeply, connect more genuinely, and speak with greater clarity. This is where Stoicism shines. It teaches us that silence isn't passive, it's deliberate, that every pause is a chance to reflect, to center, and to make your next word count. Think of it as discovering the power of the pause, that still moment between thought and action, that breath you take before speaking, that silence where insight is born. And now, let's go even deeper. Silence doesn't just shape how we speak, it shapes who we are. Have you ever walked into a room and felt someone's presence, even before they said a single word? That's not charisma. That's inner strength, radiating through silence. These are the people who have mastered the art of speaking less and meaning more. And it's not just personality, it's practice, it's philosophy, it's Stoicism in action. The Stoics believe that real power starts within, that true clarity and calm emerge not from noise, but from stillness. By embracing quiet moments, we access that deep inner reservoir, our well of strength. Silence in this way becomes more than stillness. It becomes presence, an intentional moment where we tune in, not just to the world, but to ourselves. It's like training your mind the way an athlete trains their body. In the silence, you're not idle. You're not escaping. You're building resilience, building clarity, building a sanctuary of peace within yourself. And in that space, far from the chaos of everyday life, you begin to wrestle with your emotions, your doubts, your desires. And from that wrestling, you rise, clearer, stronger, more unshakable than before. This isn't just about finding peace, it's about making decisions that align with your deepest values. And when your actions are born from that depth, they carry purpose, they carry power. Your communication becomes clearer, your choices more intentional, your very presence more grounded and authoritative. In this way, silence isn't just personal, it becomes a compass. It guides how you show up in the world, how you relate, how you lead. So what does it really mean to speak less and listen more? It means creating space for thought, clarity, and understanding. It means becoming a person who doesn't just react, but responds with conviction and calm. And that brings us to another profound Stoic lesson: freedom from pride and arrogance. But before we dive into that, ask yourself, what would change in your life if you stopped reacting and started reflecting? In the next part of our journey, we'll explore how silence and humility walk hand in hand, and why letting go of ego is one of the most powerful ways to gain control of your life. In the previous part, we explored how silence builds inner strength. Now let's take that strength one step further, by pairing it with humility. Because real growth begins the moment we look inward, not outward. This kind of growth demands a steady, unflinching gaze into ourselves, a willingness to acknowledge that our achievements, however great, do not place us above others. It's not just humility for humility's sake. It's a deeper understanding, a truth rooted in our shared human experience. Embracing this truth changes everything. It shifts our focus from needing to be heard to wanting to understand, from dominating conversations to creating space for others to speak, from proving ourselves to connecting on a more honest, equal level. People who embody this quiet confidence don't speak less because they lack something to say. They speak less because they understand the power of their words. Each sentence is chosen with care, each word crafted with purpose. And when they do speak, it matters. There's a kind of silent magnetism in this, a quiet strength that draws people in. Not because you're the loudest in the room, but because your presence speaks volumes on its own. This kind of presence isn't developed overnight. It starts with self-reflection, a core practice in Stoic philosophy. It means checking in with our motives, questioning our assumptions, examining the subtle ways pride may sneak into our thoughts and actions. This isn't about shaming ourselves. It's about growing with honesty, compassion, and clarity. When we learn to acknowledge our limitations and imperfections, we also become more understanding toward others. And in that shared vulnerability, deeper relationships begin to form. Our minds open, our hearts soften, and our lives expand. So as you move through your day, take a moment. Pause before reacting. Listen before speaking. Step back just for a breath, and remember, freedom from pride and arrogance isn't weakness. It's power, power rooted in truth. This is what allows us to speak with meaning and to listen with intention. It's what transforms everyday exchanges into real connection. And that brings us to a new, fascinating dimension of silence, one that takes place not just in personal growth, but in strategic situations. Let's now enter the world of negotiation, where silence becomes less about stillness and more about influence. In our last section, we uncovered the subtle strength of silence in negotiation, how a simple pause can shift the dynamic and carry more weight than a dozen well-crafted arguments. Now let's take that wisdom and carry it into everyday interactions, because sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. The next time you find yourself in a conversation, a debate, or any form of exchange, pause. Let the silence speak. That brief stillness may be the most eloquent statement you make all day. Silence, when used with intention, becomes the highest currency of communication, and it's often the one most undervalued in a world that prizes constant noise. But what happens when we pair that silence with something even more powerful? Kindness, consideration, empathy. Let's talk about these virtues, not as soft traits, but as superpowers. In our fast-paced, often self-centered world, empathy can feel rare. But Stoicism, despite being centuries old, teaches us that genuine regard for others is not only noble, it's necessary. Philosophers like Seneca emphasized this over and over, that understanding and compassion should be central to how we live, how we lead, and how we communicate. When we act with kindness, when we pause to truly consider the perspective of someone else. We're not just being nice, we're honoring a fundamental Stoic principle, the deep interconnectedness of all human beings. And this doesn't mean silencing your own voice or feelings. It means creating space, thoughtful, generous space, for others to exist fully in your presence. That kind of presence doesn't go unnoticed. It ripples, it builds trust, it strengthens relationships in quiet, lasting ways. So how do we bring this timeless wisdom into the chaos of modern life? It starts small. Start by observing. Pay attention to how your words land. Ask yourself, are you adding to the noise or bringing clarity, calm, and connection? Practice active listening. When someone speaks, give them your full attention, not just your ears, but your focus, your empathy, your presence. Try to understand the emotions beneath the words, the meaning behind the message. Because in doing so, you're not just hearing, you're honoring the speaker, honoring the Stoic ideal of reasoned, respectful dialogue. Reflect on the challenges and stories of others as if they were your own. Feel their weight, not to carry it, but to understand it. This reflective habit expands empathy. It deepens your awareness, and it transforms how you show up in conversations, relationships, and even in how you view the world. Because when we begin to see through the lens of shared humanity, every interaction becomes a chance to practice kindness, to embody understanding, and to live a richer, more connected life. Through these principles, we don't just inherit Stoic wisdom, we activate it, we live it, and in doing so, we bring out the very best in ourselves and those around us. And now, let's take this even deeper. Because beyond kindness, there's another often forgotten superpower, the art of deep listening. Let's explore how this rare skill can unlock profound human connection and change the way we experience every conversation. In the last section, we explored how deep listening opens doors to empathy and connection. But for listening to truly transform us, we must go even further by learning to surrender the need to respond right away. Because sometimes, the most powerful act is allowing someone else's narrative to unfold without the rush to insert our own. And that takes patience, a core Stoic virtue. Patience teaches us to resist the urge to jump in, to control the impulse to fill the silence, to allow space for others, for meaning, for truth. When we listen patiently, we don't just gather words. We absorb perspectives we might have missed had we been too busy preparing our next reply. This practice isn't passive. It's intentional. It's powerful. So how do we begin to cultivate this rare and valuable trait? Start by embracing the silence within yourself. Learn to sit with it, to breathe in the stillness and not run from it, because it's in these quiet moments that we become more receptive, more attuned, more able to catch the subtle cues and unspoken emotions in what others share. Remember the wisdom of Epictetus, who once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice, as much as we speak." Let that timeless insight guide your interactions. Let it remind you that true strength often lies not in being heard, but in hearing others. In a world overwhelmed by noise, becoming a beacon of patience and empathy isn't just refreshing, it's revolutionary. And this journey isn't only about becoming a better communicator. It's a gateway to a more meaningful life, a Stoic life, a life of reflection, depth, and intention. And as we continue this journey inward, we come to one of the most transformative Stoic practices of all, the art of reflective wisdom. Let's now explore how the discipline of holding back, of speaking with purpose, can lead us to a life of greater clarity, depth, and connection. In the last section, we explored how reflective wisdom sharpens not just our speech, but our entire way of being. Now, let's bring that wisdom into action through resilience. Because real resilience isn't about staying silent forever. It's about knowing when to speak and when not to. It's about the discernment to pause, the strength to reflect, the courage to respond with clarity rather than react out of impulse. This is the heart of Stoic control, mastery over one's actions and reactions. So why is it that the quiet ones often captivate us most? It's because they embody the Stoic virtue of restraint. They don't speak to be heard. They speak to be understood. They show us that true power doesn't lie in the volume of our words, but in the weight of our thoughts. And like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, they understand this simple truth. Our words matter, and the fewer we use, the more meaning we can pour into each one. This isn't about limitation. It's strategy. It's the art of speaking less so that each word resonates more deeply. It's about creating space. Space for wisdom, space for peace, and space for true connection. So how can we bring this Stoic resilience into our own lives? It starts with shifting how we view silence. Not as emptiness, but as a container of growth. A place where clarity is born and where reflection becomes our strength. In these quiet moments, especially when faced with adversity, we learn, we develop the ability to respond with purpose instead of reacting with haste. This mirrors the Stoic exercises of daily reflection, looking inward to find calm in the chaos, strength in the silence. We begin to see our trials not as roadblocks, but as training, grounds, opportunities to grow stronger, steadier, more centered. This is where resilience truly lives, not in loud defiance, but in quiet determination, not in flashy speeches, but in the thoughtful response that follows reflection. And when we speak from this place of centered calm, our words do more than just communicate. They inspire, they heal, they transform. This is the beauty of Stoic resilience. It teaches us that strength isn't about resistance. It's about alignment with our values, with our intentions, with the truth of who we are. So as we bring this video to a close, let's hold on to one powerful realization, that by listening more, reflecting deeper, and speaking with intention, we're not just becoming quieter, we're becoming wiser, stronger, more grounded in purpose. Thank you for walking this path with me today. By showing up, by choosing to engage with this message, you've become a vital part of our Stoic community. Together, we're building lives rooted in virtue, clarity, and resilience. Before you go, I invite you to take a small but powerful action. Comment below with the words, "I embrace silence." Let it mark the beginning of your transformation, your commitment to thoughtful speech and intentional living. But don't stop here. This journey doesn't end with one video. There's a world of timeless wisdom still waiting for you. So, click one of the suggested videos on your screen. Let's continue this path of growth together, step by step, insight by insight. Because your journey to becoming a more reflective, grounded, and impactful individual is just beginning.